Hi there, my name is Kendrick and welcome to Travel and Live Free. In this video, I'm going to talk about my journey going from Buenos Aires in Argentina all the way to El Calafate in Argentina so that I can go trek up Mount Fitz Roy in Patagonia. And that video is going to come up right now. So my journey to Patagonia first started in Buenos Aires, and you do want to go to Buenos Aires first. I mean, you really have no choice really for the most part. And when you go to Buenos Aires, that's the perfect time for you to change your money from US dollars to Argentine pesos in the blue market. So the blue market actually essentially doubles the amount of money that you get when you exchange those US dollars to Argentine peso, as opposed to using an ATM or exchanging at the airport. When I went to Buenos Aires, the US dollars, for $1 you can exchange it to roughly between 188 to 191 Argentine peso, and the price fluctuates on a daily basis, so it's not always the same. With cash on hand, you then want to book your flight through the aerolínea office, and there's many in the city, so just go find one that's closest to your accommodation. And if you pay by cash, you get more bang for your buck as opposed to paying with your credit card. Unfortunately for me, when I went to the aerolínea office, I paid with half credit card and half cash because me and Karen actually did not have enough cash at the time, so we actually ended up paying more, which sucks. Regardless, the next day we got to fly to El Calafate, and the flight on aerolínea, you do have to check in at the airport. You don't have any online check-in, and the process itself was okay. There was no problem. I did have a nosebleed in the airport while I was waiting for my flight to depart, and everyone was staring at me because I think I'm Asian and they might think I'm COVID or something because I'm covering my nose all the time. But after a while, my nose bleeding subsided and I was able to board the plane and make the 3-hour flight going from Buenos Aires to El Calafate. Now, El Calafate itself is not where the hike to Fitz Roy is. It's actually a town that is the launching point to the hike. And what you want to do then is you want to take the bus going from El Calafate to El Chalten. However, for me and Karen, we decided to stay one night in El Calafate because we were exhausted, especially Karen, and we decided to stay in a hostel called America del Sur. And this hostel was nice, but it was overpriced, and I would not recommend staying here, especially because they don't accept the blue market rate for their hostel. So they do charge in US dollars, and if you try to pay in Argentine peso, then they're gonna charge you the official rate. So this hostel is not the best option for you if you want to stay in an accommodation in El Calafate. El Calafate, in my opinion, was a little bit touristy. We ate at a restaurant and they were trying to upsell us non-stop, so definitely it's a very touristy place. However, it's a good place to also buy groceries so that the next day, if you go to El Chalten, which is the launching point for the Patagonia hike up Mount Fitz Roy, then you can save money on food that you can pack up and eat as you go along the hike. And that's exactly what me and Karen did. Before I took the bus to El Chalten the next day, we went to a local supermarket called La Anomita and we purchased a bunch of food that we brought back in our accommodation, and we took it to the bus ride going all the way to El Chalten. As for the bus going from El Calafate to El Chalten, we purchased a ticket to the bus at the airport actually. So basically, when we arrived in El Calafate the day before, we went to the bus station at the airport, and for 2,500 Argentine peso, we were able to purchase tickets to take us all the way to El Chalten the next day. The bus itself was just okay. My seat was actually broken, so I ended up having to sit at the bottom of the double-decker bus, and I would say the bus ride was pretty cold, so you do have to have a jacket when you are on this bus ride, but it's pretty scenic, so it's a nice treat for you to actually be sitting on the top because you get a better view. Okay, so me and Karen are now in this bus, and we are now heading towards El Chalten, going from El Calafate. The bus ride is about 3 hours long, and by the time we get to El Chalten, we were so shocked at how hot it was in El Chalten in comparison to El Calafate. And this makes sense because El Chalten is actually north of El Calafate. That's why it's warmer. I made a mistake of walking all the way to my accommodation, which is about a 20-minute walk. And this is a mistake because I had carry-on luggage, so I was trying to wheel it on the road to my hostel, and the road was very pebbly and rocky. And by the time I got to my accommodation, turns out I broke the wheel of my luggage, which really sucks because as I continued on my travels later on, I had to wheel my luggage backwards in order for me to be able to wheel it, otherwise the wheel was broken. We stayed at Traveler's Hostel, which was pretty good in my opinion, and after having dinner at a local place, which was not very good, the next day we started the trek up Fitz Roy. Now the hike itself was very challenging, but not for reasons that you might think. So the first 2 hours of the trek, it's not too bad. It's a steady incline, and a lot of people think it's difficult, but I actually thought it was okay. Afterwards, the next 6 kilometers is relatively flat with a few ups and downs, but nothing too crazy. The one annoying thing about this hike though is there is horse flies that follow you and harasses you the whole hike. It is so maddening. They just don't stop following you. It actually helps to have a face net so that those annoying horseflies would stop following you. Besides the horsefly, I bought some jello the day before at the supermarket, and the jello unfortunately blew up in Karen's backpack. Thankfully, the place where the jello blew up in was close to a river, so Karen was able to wash her backpack in the river before we continued on the hike. The final 2 kilometers of the hike was extremely brutal. It's a super steep incline up this mountain that feels like it never ends, and it's also very rocky and pebbly, so it's quite slippery. And to make matters worse, the horsefly is following you the whole time. So not only are you struggling to go up this mega hard incline, a horsefly is buzzing in your face non-stop, and there's usually more than one fly that's buzzing in your face. By the time we got to the top, we were rewarded with an amazing view of Fitz Roy up close, and as an added treat, while we were taking some selfies and making some videos up top where Fitz Roy was, there was also a fox that was rummaging for food. This fox was so clever that it would eat the leftovers of other hikers, and it even flipped a rock at one point to go get food. So this fox was definitely a very clever fox. I'll definitely upload the full video of the fox eating the tourist food at the base of the Fitz Roy hike at some point. After taking lots of pictures and videos, we made our way down, which was extremely difficult. The way down actually was probably harder than the way up because it was so slippery, and again, the stupid horseflies were following us. By the time we get to the bottom, the final 8 kilometers of the hike was absolutely brutal. Besides the annoying fly, it was just a never-ending hike, and my feet was absolutely destroyed by the time I got back to the parking lot. Lesson learned for me, I need to lose weight because I have small feet and I can't be overweight for hikes, even if my cardio can handle it, because my feet can't handle the weight. We returned the trekking poles that we rented the day before in El Chalten, and we found an Italian restaurant to go eat our dinner. Now this Italian restaurant actually was not very good. The spaghetti that we ate was just average, but their dessert, which is the flan with dulce de leche, was amazing. So basically that is my adventure going to El Chalten to go hike Patagonia up Fitz Roy, and I definitely think it meets the hype where a lot of people are hyped up to go hiking in Patagonia, and it's definitely a beautiful place to go hiking. The one thing I didn't notice though was a lot of people say that it's quite cold up Fitz Roy, but it was the complete opposite. It was boiling hot. I actually got a sunburn that lasted me for the next several days. Anyways, that's all it is for this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave your comments below. And don't forget to sign up to our travel and free newsletter, where you can get a 10-step cheat sheet on how to travel around the world. You'll also get the latest tips and strategies on how to save money on travel for Canadians, how to go on around the world adventure travel for Canadians, and how to use travel to get more freedom in your life as a Canadian. You can sign up for the newsletter in the description below. Until next time, I'll see you then.